Welcome to episode 1 of TheFeed Nightcap. It's G4's weekly wrap-up and, I guess, live therapy session. But I'm Billy Berghammer, Director of Gaming Editorial for G4TV.com, and your crew for tonight's Nightcap, Sterling McGarvey, Senior Reviews and Previews Editor.
Hello.
Got Andrew Pfister, Senior Games Editor.
Good evening.
And our token emo kid, Patrick Klepek.
Resident G4 hipster.
Yes, our news editor, who does a hell of a Purple Rain.
I do.
Karaoke.
I can do one song in karaoke, and I just perfect it every night.
It was the 25th anniversary this week, so we had to.
It was. He spoke through me.
As you're going through puberty. But that's great. This week's show, we're going to be covering 3 of this week's big news stories. We're going to start out with the Comic-Con recap for 2 of you guys that actually went to the show. We're also going to be talking about Splinter Cell Conviction and Red Steel getting pushed back, and THQ's making money. So after that, we're going to hit up our weekly reader question, and then which I think portable gamers are really going to enjoy. And then, as always, we'll wrap things up with our game of the week, which I'm going to eat crow on because I actually really liked it.
Wah,
I thought it was
wah.
going to be craptacular. So
I like motion controls.
I don't want to get up.
okay, all right. So let's get to it. Here are the top 3 news stories of the week. Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, this week, last week, Sterling and I both went to Comic-Con. It was my second year, but this was Sterling's first. So maybe Sterling should start off as the Comic-Con virgin. What was your experience like?
You know, it smelled way less like King Kong's armpit than everybody had prepped me for. There was a lot less nerd funk. No, seriously, it was really impressive. It reminded me a lot of the idea. It was like the same crowd as E3, but the energy was so much better. You know, it was a crowd full of fans, full of passionate people. I didn't quite feel nerd enough to be there, and I say that in like the best way possible. I was just like, wow, I am not into as much stuff as everybody else is who's here. But it was incredible just to see the kind of showing, the kind of outpour, and then to see the way that the gaming industry has really taken a hold and used it as a great first impression for their games with fans.
Yeah,
it's not filtered through us, but yeah.
Yeah, now that it's looking like E3 probably is going to go public in a sort of fashion, like game companies, especially Capcom, are essentially looking at Comic-Con as a public E3 and are really embracing it. And the problem is like Capcom was the first one to get it, and it takes like 5 years to get a big booth at Comic-Con. So that's why they're always the one that has like this mammoth presence. And Konami, Sony, Microsoft have these tiny little booths that they're crammed into. But it's really cool because this is the first time you see sort of a public perception of these games. And like that's why you saw really weird reactions to games like Dante's Inferno, which had a great presence on the floor. People were flipping out. Things that the press has been really critical of, like God of War comparisons. People loved that. Like they love that it's like God of War. That allows them to connect with the game very quickly. But then I also went to a Dante's Inferno panel where EA believed that it was going to be a bunch of people that were like, you know, screw reading. I don't read. I haven't read the Divine Comedy.
At
What's
Comic-Con.
What's that?
People don't read.
And they made a bunch of jokes about like, no one's read the Divine Comedy. Put up your hand if you've read the Divine Comedy. Most of the room had read the Divine Comedy. And they tried to take a crap on reading. And what's interesting is that unlike when we see a game or when we're trying to ask a critical question, like we're sort of trained like try and ask it in a nice way so we don't come across like as a bunch of jerks. But fans aren't like that, and fans will phrase things inappropriately. Fans like to be belligerent. They want to know. They get to the core of it, and like it's almost like you said, like you have to respect the fandom of it. I have to respect like how honest they are, and like you kind of take away something like, why am I not asking the question like that? Like, why not just be straight up like those guys are? Because they tend to get an uncomfortably honest answer from the people up there.
So now my question for you guys, what's it like for you guys to cover a show like Comic-Con versus like E3, Tokyo Game Show, or even Cologne for that matter?
Well, we don't matter is essentially what it comes down
Big
to.
factor.
And it's cool. Like when you go to these other shows, like you get in early or you get to see things that everyone else doesn't get to, and that's really not the case at Comic-Con. And if anything, like the press is kind of like a second-class citizen. Really, all you get is a free badge, and that's it. You don't get preference for the lines. You don't get to get into the show early, and like everything is there for the fans. And I think that's cool. Like I like the fact that I'm just there, and really a lot of the stuff we're seeing anyway, we've seen a couple of times. It's not that different, so it's really more of a show that's interesting to kind of take a chance to sit back and reflect, like observe, like see what people are, how they're reacting to things.
The way you guys are describing it just reminds me, it's more comparable to PAX. And I'm wondering like if PAX is feeling competition because they are kind of close together, and it kind of does the same thing. Like you want to go for the comic book core, like that part of that Venn diagram that also likes games, but PAX is just like straight up gamers. So I wonder like if there's any competition, like who would choose to go to which one.
I think PAX is a little more hardcore. Like PAX is like really, really getting into games, like a lot of board game stuff. I mean, that stuff is at Comic-Con, but it's more of like a broad swipe of gaming. And they've got big panels for Halo and Gears of War. And I don't think you would see that kind of stuff at PAX. Like, I mean, you might get something like Cliffy B, keynoting or something like that. But I think Comic-Con is more of like a broad swipe of games, and then PAX exists for like the really, really like niche stuff. But I enjoyed it. I'm excited to go back next year, and I know Billy, you were marking that after you saw like how ridiculous it was that you probably wanted to go too.
Yeah, I've gone a couple years, and this year decided to stay back and keep an eye on the home team. And the nerd funk that you didn't have was definitely in our office. They turned
alive and well.
They
elsewhere.
turned off the air conditioning on the weekends, and it smelled like Kyo-chan chicken and dude in our office.
Ooh, that's no good.
Let's move on.
Yeah, and the other thing is actually. This week, Ubisoft announced something that's been a pretty predictable pattern that's going on this fall. Is they announced delays for games that were supposed to be coming out this fall. Splinter Cell Conviction for the 360, and then Red Steel 2 for the Wii are both being moved out of the fourth quarter, the fall period, usually the big period for games, and have now kind of put into a sort of first quarter, sometime before the financial year is up at the end of March. But those games are out. Like, they're not coming this year, and it's joining games like BioShock 2, Max Payne 3, Bayonetta, like Heavy Rain, games that were all billed as 2009 things, and all of a sudden now they're all getting shoved uncomfortably into 2010.
Which is second Christmas, which has actually been building up the last couple of years, where you had Resident Evil 4, which is probably one of the biggest releases that was pushed past Christmas and dropped the first.
It kind of
week.
really set the trend like years ago that you can do that, and you can really sell a game in that period.
That used to be the downtime for us, and now it's like, holy crap! Look at these games coming out.
But because people like us complained every year after year, that why are all these games coming out like in November, on that last weekend in November, and now we're getting more people pushing it back, and now we're wondering, is that good? Like, what's the middle ground?
Well, I still think it's my main beliefs are the reason why it's getting pushed back. Outside of development problems, I mean, who knows where those games are as far as development, how far they are, but like
Ubisoft said it's like a question of polish. But those games, both those games, I played Red Steel 2 and saw, we all saw Conviction. Like, those games looked like they were going to be ready for the fall. Like, it didn't. There were no indications that there were like sort of any hidden issues. And I mean, Ubisoft said it's a question of polish, and that's an easy sort of thing to tack onto it. But I don't know. I mean, it sounds like every financial call I've listened to the last couple of weeks, every publisher is saying retail is asking for less this fall. They are expecting a slower sales period, and I think companies are afraid of having their stock stuck on shelves and instead pulling back, maybe having one or two big games. Because I mean, Ubisoft, to their credit, still has Assassin's Creed, so that's just where all the money's going to go this fall. So they're just gambling everything on Creed.
Yeah, but 2K has pushed everything out of the way. Like, what do they have outside of their sports titles this holiday?
They don't. And I mean, Take-Two's argument has just been that, like, well, 2010 is going to be the year where we don't have a new Grand Theft Auto, and that's going to be our year where we can be profitable without a new Grand Theft Auto.
I still think it's the Halo effect. Every time there's going to be a Halo release, or even, and adding to that, Call of Duty or Modern Warfare 2.
Well, yeah, September and then November. So, like, you've got the shooter block for September, October already taken out because of Halo, and then November and December, and then going forward are those two games sort of just dominating the category.
I think it's smart. I don't know what the hell Red Steel 2 is being delayed for. Probably same thing, quality or development, but I'm a little concerned about what the big games are going to be for the Wii this holiday.
New Super Mario Brothers.
Okay,
that's about it.
And Wii Fit Plus.
Yeah,
that's
Wii
pretty
Fit
much
Plus.
it. And I'm okay with Red Steel being pushed because like that game seemed like it had a lot of potential at E3. So any more time that they can get to kind of work out the kinks, like also that game I don't think would do very well in sort of the holiday period anyway. Like I think that's a game that could do well, kind of like how No More Heroes did, where it comes out early in the year and you want to try something different. And I think they would do really well for that game.
I think also Wii Sports Resort is going to get another holiday push.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
You might as well consider that a holiday game.
And I would also predict that Nintendo might bundle it in to get Wii's off the shelves again, because everybody's mom and dad and
Start
whatever.
bundling Motion Plus wherever you can.
Exactly.
In your systems.
So, all right, THQ.
Yeah, THQ, a company that's having a lot of trouble the past couple of years. Like even though they've always relied on their kids franchises and the WWE brand, but that just hasn't been enough these days. And the company's been having to, just like everyone else, having to do losses. But essentially, if UFC, Undisputed, and Red Faction Guerrilla didn't pay off, this company was going to be facing like really, really tough times going forward, or we're going to have a tough time continuing to be any sort of powerhouse. And fortunately for them, UFC Undisputed has shipped over 3 million copies. Red Faction Guerrilla has shipped over 1 million copies, and it sounds like it's really encouraging because those are two really, really good games. Like THQ used to be kind of one of those companies that was just looked at as a licensed, farming house, like just Nickelodeon games or whatever, Disney and Pixar games, and they've really like kind of come around, and I think people are starting to rally behind them. And I was a big fan of Red Faction when I saw it earlier this year, but it's just the buzz was not there. Like there were people interested, but I was just desperately afraid that game was going to bomb because it is so good. And if you haven't played it, I highly recommend checking it out because it is a really, really good game.
I think Infamous might have stolen some of the summer buzz away from Red Faction.
I think so.
And Prototype.
Sure.
And Prototype.
To a degree.
Yeah, they're like 3 open world games like within about a month of each other, and they all sort of they all did okay essentially. I mean, Prototype did better than all of them, but I mean that's more of a testament to Activision and the game having more of an edgy, bloody feel to it. But like it's too bad because they were all so close together, they all probably didn't sell as well as they would have if they were parsed out maybe 4 months from each other.
So how many of you guys actually played Red Faction?
I haven't had a chance to play it
outside
yet.
of the press event demo. I haven't. It's on my list of things to get to, but
Game of the week next week.
okay,
Done.
All right.
I played 6 hours of it a couple of months ago, and it's really, really good. So
the multiplayer was a lot of fun.
Also, highly recommend just put the game on easy when you start, because the game has sort of an unbalanced difficulty, especially when you start getting towards the mid game. And it's a game where you don't want to have to worry about dying. You just want to have fun. So just early recommendation if anyone wants to play along with us, like put it on easy. Don't feel bad. A lot of the developers actually put it on easy too, because it's more fun to blow up a building, not like have the building dynamically fall apart and a piece falls on your head and you die because the physics are too good.
I think it was a really clever move on their part with UFC, because it'd been so long since you'd seen any kind of MMA game. I mean, going all the way back to the earlier part of like the PS2 era. So it's like, as mixed martial arts have grown in popularity in the US, like it just seemed like it was like, okay, this is a hugely underserved demographic. So Ukes came through, and for all the issues people have taken with the SmackDown series and saying they've basically reiterated it year after year off of this 10-year-old engine, UFC, they came along and said, okay, we're going to make a game that's going to be reminiscent of Fight Night, that kind of like, besides the obvious sweaty dudes rolling around knocking the crap out of each other, just tapping into that demographic. And it was clever, and it really paid off, and I'm glad to see that it did for them.
Well, that's why EA is crawling up their ass with their new game, and that's why Peter Moore, it's not just the U.S., it's international. MMA is huge everywhere.
Yeah.
So
MMA is like kind of becoming the new WWE, sort of in a sense.
It has been. It's there.
It's kind of like replacing boxing and WWE at the
all
same
at
time.
once. Yeah, for sure.
all right, so that's the big news of the week, and then now it's time to talk about our reader question we got.
Da-na-na-na.
Is there is
That would be
the
a
theme?
sound effect. No, that would be, maybe like the opening of when Link opens a chest in Zelda.
We've
That'd
got
be a good
thousands and
transition.
I was thinking of
thousands
like
of
that-
equipment here.
I'm not using any of it.
Yeah, great.
It's only the first one.
Okay, great.
All right, this week's question comes from reader Nux Sonic. Do you think that the future of handheld gaming rests with the iPhone, that is, with cheaper, shorter games that are touch or motion-based, or the more traditional PSP or DS games, which are more expensive, longer affairs? Billy Berghammer.
Also, attempt to word your answer without using Peggle.
That's not fair.
You're on.
That's not,
I was just
my
being a
letter
jerk.
from the director. I mean, when I did my letter from the director about casual games. My lifestyle has changed so much since I moved from Minneapolis to Los Angeles that I've been playing a crap ton of really quick pick up and play games. I will not say the P word, but I will say like I'll say a different P word. PopCap games have been a big part of my life the last couple months. I've been playing Plants vs. Zombies. I beat that game. It was awesome. And I'm still even playing the challenge mode and going through all the stuff on Steam of like PopCap games and just downloading them because I don't travel as much as I used to, which will be changing, which I'll be playing the more long-form games when I'm doing international travel. That's when I used to play the hell out of my PSP games, my DS, and things like that. Now, screw you. I played Peggle, played the hell through that, like Plants vs. Zombies. I can't wait for Plants vs. Zombies to go back on the iPhone. I'll play through it again. And even Doom for the iPhone, because you recommended it.
Yeah, Doom Resurrection is a really, really good light gun shooter.
It was really good. Do I think it's going to replace everything? No, it depends on the person. It depends. I mean, if I was taking more flights, I would be on my DS or PSP way more often. But now I don't travel as much, so I'm not carrying around, my backpack with all 3 of my gaming systems. It's just, I don't do it. So
yeah, I think it's more complementary. I mean, the arguments made that it's more competition for the PSP than it is the DS, and I think that's entirely valid just because of the way you use the device. I mean, you're using your multimedia stuff on it. You're going to play games on it. So a lot of times, like when I always have my PSP in my bag, but if I'm looking for I'm just going to bust something out, it's nice that, well, if I play a game on my iPhone, well, I can probably listen to my music too. I can listen to a podcast, and that's already synced up on my computer, loaded. I could do that for my PSP, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to do, and it's not as easy as just syncing it on iTunes where everything downloads on its own. So in terms of it dominating my handheld time, it absolutely takes away from the PSP because I can do multiple things at once on my iPhone already. It's there. It's just I don't have to put in the effort, whereas I would have to put in some extra effort with the PSP.
Everything just seems to be converging. They're just taking different routes to it. Like Apple started with music, and then they added the photo, and then the video, and then with the phone, the network, and it just kind of went like that, where PSP and DS started with games, and they were kind of going an alternate path, and they're adding things in a different order. And there's going to be a PSP phone at some point. There has to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of taking PlayStation Network and the PlayStation brand and expanding it out to the phones. And they said there's a PlayStation phone coming eventually, and it's looking like sometime next year.
Just like the console stuff, there's going to be different people finding stuff in different areas and at different times. So it's again, Venn diagrams just crossing each other.
Yeah. To me, it seems like the future in general across the board it lies with digital distribution. So case in point, the fact that I can really quickly download an iPhone game. Or, for example, last night I was hanging out and I got this weird urge to play Street Fighter Alpha. So I pulled out my PSP, I went into the PlayStation store and downloaded the PS1 version of Street Fighter Alpha. Really waiting for the DSi to take off with that as well. There's a really, really cool game that I saw that Konami was doing really early glimpses at during Comic-Con. Not enough for a write-up, probably. I don't even think they had screens for it yet. It's a small game called Reflections, made by a small team of guys out of USC, and
it's for DSiWare, right?
This is DSiWare title, but it's in my opinion, it's regardless whether it's expensive, longer affair, whether it's something quick like Peggle or Plants vs. Zombies, to me, the future is going to be how you buy those games.
Interesting. Are there any portable releases that are coming out the next, before the holiday that you guys are so super psyched for? I'm not talking about iPhone. We all have iPhones where, but.
Well, for me, Mario and Luigi, the next one on DS. And I'm really interested. I don't know if I'll play it, but I'm interested to see what happens with Chinatown Wars on PSP and how that results versus the DS version. Because again, that'll be a telling sign.
I played through Chinatown Wars in a game again. Almost no one played, and that game is absolutely fantastic. And
I love that game.
So well built for the DS that I will be interested to see how it works on the PSP because so much of it was kind of fun about. Because it takes that sort of old school GTA flavor and kind of marries it with some of the stuff they learned with the bigger games on the console, but. The old school stuff gets kind of old pretty fast, and so they mixed it up with sort of the touch game mini games, and that stuff works really, really well. It takes 5 seconds to do, and it really changes up the gameplay. And I'll be curious to see how far they decide to push it, whether it's just a port and they just find ways to do those mini games again, or whether they're really going to embrace the idea of a PSP version of Chinatown Wars and really retool it. Because it'd be awesome if they retooled it. Because I would love a chance to be the only thing I didn't like about Chinatown Wars on the DS was because the screen on the DS just doesn't do justice to the cool visual style that adapted. I was never a big fan of Vice City Stories or Liberty City Stories just trying to do the console visuals on the PSP. It was impressive because on a technical level, but I love the fact that Chinatown Wars had sort of a stylized look, and so I'm anxious to see that stylized look on a more high-res screen because I think it's going to look gorgeous.
Well, I think a lot of the reason they had to do that was because you could look at proven success with you look at the Tony Hawk games on the DS, and what they did was instead of trying to go for this consoleized hyper-realistic version or trying to recreate it, they said, okay, we're going to do the stylish cel-shaded look, and it made the games look fantastic. And that's what I loved about Chinatown Wars' visual style, and I love the mission structure. My big issue with Liberty City Stories and Vice City Stories was more that they tried to get a PS2 mission and cram it onto a handheld, and that does not work when you're on the bus, when you're riding the subway, even when you're on a flight, because there's been so many times I've been guiltily looking over my shoulder, making sure no kids are looking while I'm doing some sniping mission. And
but you're okay with drug wars on the DS.
I can hold the screen closer. It's tinier. I can get away with it. But the thing is, people, I don't know what it is about gaming when you're on a flight, but people go out of their way to bump you. I don't know if I'm the only one who's noticed that. People are just like, oh, excuse me. And it's like, okay, I just failed the mission.
But I think it's just because we're bigger guys.
It could,
and our shoulders stick out of the aisle.
That could be a bit of that.
Patrick, you have any problems with that? You're like, 80 pounds.
No, I'm anorexic, so it's okay. I get by.
He's the guy that runs into us.
Yeah, well, it's a hipster requirement. So
that said, 2 games that one game is probably people haven't thought much about. I'm really curious about Assassin's Creed for PSP, mainly because Ubisoft doesn't have the greatest track record with PSP games. But when you think about the way Assassin's Creed controls, you can fit that. Like, that control scheme would work within a handheld.
That would, absolutely.
Yeah, because you're only using one stick, to do a lot of your movements. It's the same reason God of War worked so well on the PSP, because most of that stuff's relegated to the stick. A lot of those motions can just be modified very easily. So I'd like to see what they're going to do with it and see if they can break this streak of issues they've been having with the platform.
And don't download the iPhone version. Oh God, the Assassin's Creed iPhone.
I played the free version last night. I was like, why did I do this?
There's a reason it was $10 and then they made it free.
Yeah,
the DS version is equally horrendous.
It is the DS version.
Is it?
Yes.
One other PSP game, definitely keep your eye on Gran Turismo for the PSP. I played it at E3. Been waiting for it for 5 freaking years, and
finally.
Yeah, I have like literally no interest in Gran Turismo. So like when I played the game, like it's not like the gameplay was doing anything for me, but it looks amazing. And it looks like Gran Turismo. It plays like Gran Turismo. If you wanted Gran Turismo on PSP, like this game is totally going to
And I'm curious to see how it interfaces with GT5, and which I will predict they're going to talk about extensively at Tokyo Game Show. Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
Guaranteed. So.
You guys forgot Scribblenauts.
All right, game of the week, and this is where I completely and totally eat crow because I thought this game was going to suck, and I even said when I was on broadcasting from the Nintendo press conference during E3, I said that this game could make me eat crow, and it definitely has. Our game of the week this week is Wii Sports Resort.
Yay!
For all you fans of the Waggle.
And you're still dismissive as you bring up the game.
I will, but I'm going to stay away from you. I'm going to start with Sterling. Or actually, you know what? I'm going to start with you because you did the review.
I did, and it's weird because it seemed like a lot of people in the office were surprised that it got a high score, like 5 out of 5. I'm like, really? Like it's really good. Like what? Why are you surprised about this?
I think it's because you have to play it, and like I'll even say that before I played it, I don't know. I was like, oh, it's more Wii Sports. Like, oh, there's more bowling, but it wasn't until earlier this week that I brought it home, I played it, and you really intuitively understood what Wii Motion Plus does for these games. And it's not until you play it. Someone can tell you about it. You can watch videos. It's not until you actually play it that you understand.
It's unfair to call it waggle because to me, waggle was always like just wave your arm and anything will happen on screen. This is like wave your hand, wave your remote, and it's 1-to-1. And it comes through in all the old games like bowling and table tennis, which is the updated version of tennis and much better. And swordplay. You and I played swordplay.
That was actually
the one,
a lot of fun.
That was the one that changed your mind.
Yeah, there were every mini game that I played, I liked all of them, and I was really, really surprised. Wii Motion Plus definitely adds to the entire experience, but I think why I was so surprised that I liked it was because I was so burnt out on the first one because that was the one that is the quintessential Wii game that everybody wanted to play when they'd come over. And you're like, really? We're going to play tennis again? I'm over this
Especially if you're like the only one in your friend group that owns a Wii.
Seriously. And like for the first month after launch, it was fun, but I just got so sick of it. Like my parents keep asking me to bring, well, now they have a Wii, but they would be like, oh, bring the Wii home. We can play Wii Sports. I'm like, yay. I've played this crap for so long. Like I'm over it. And I just set it up and like go make a drink or something because I was kind of bored with it. But I am so excited. Like I'm going home this weekend on vacation, and I'm bringing the Wii home and Wii Sports Resort.
Wii Sports, the first one was a tech demo. This is a game.
Yeah, it's real.
And it's the sword fighting is what sold it for me because that more than any of the other mini games, you see as you're moving it exactly how your hand position is changing. Like it interfaces with bowling and with table tennis very much so that's minor movements to tech, but it's only that where you're like seeing the hand move around in real time, so you can. It's almost like when you watch like those motion capture demos and you see people like moving around with little bubbles on them. Like you're seeing your entire movement as it's happening. And there's not a whole lot of depth to the sword fighting, especially how the way they set up the defensive maneuvers. There's not a lot of, but like as a proof of concept for someone to take that and run with it, like the sword fighting is so much fun. Like I finally maybe I'm glad they never made the lightsaber game because now I'm glad that Motion Plus is out and like that's where this stuff is really going to become fun.
That's where it needed to be. To me, I mean, it was all about the bowling because when we were starting up the game, I said, all right, I want to take something that I'm familiar with and I want to see how different it is. And it was like the exact, like, I just like did my usual technique and I thought, okay, it's more sensitive. I'll put a little more curve into it. And like you were there, Skip, like I got a strike on my first bowl. And I usually never get a strike like on like the first shot like that. But it was just like, it was so precise, so exact. I then proceeded to screw up my next frame. But it felt like you could really, really feel the way that they'd tweaked and done so much to refine gameplay. And you know, there's people that are going to argue about, you know, why did you think it was so good, Skip? You know, really a 5, you know, get too fixated and hung up on that. Yeah. But I think, like, to me, it's like the game is the distillation of fun. It is taking everything that defines why we play games, why are games fun, and boils it down to a simplistic, here you go. It doesn't have to be deep. It doesn't have to be something where you're engrossed in. It's just a matter of, like, putting a smile on your face, people around you having a smile on your face, having a good time. That's why we all play games, isn't it?
Yeah, and when we were playing, we had a blast. And like, I was definitely, I mean, I could be labeled as a Wii skeptic at this point.
No.
Probably.
No.
But in all honesty, like, I liked every single minigame. I'd say the Pilot Wings-ish, the flight stuff, does make me wish there was a new Pilot Wings coming out. Please, Nintendo, seriously. We need this crap. And archery. I thought archery was fantastic. So
archery needs to be blown out even more. Like, there's 3 difficulty levels, and like the advanced stuff, the later levels, that's where it starts to get like really creative. You could go all sorts of places with like archery, like
Zelda.
Put a giant brick
so
wall in
many
front
of them, yeah. Like so many of them are just like they went far enough, but not too far to sort of like where they feel like they're. I mean, they're more than mini games, but they're not games within themselves. So like they took it far enough to like, this is the I mean, like it's really in some sense like throwing the gauntlet down to developers and saying, look, we know you've all struggled trying to figure out how to make motion works. Here are a bunch of concepts that essentially lay out so many games that could take this into full-fledged products. And I think that's, I mean, it's unfortunate that it's also going to be a couple of years before we see like the real fruits of what's been laid down. But I think in a lot of ways, like between the sword fighting, like that's they're games that we're going to be playing in a couple of years. Where I think finally Motion Plus is where Nintendo's gotten to the, like, they had the idea what they wanted to do when they conceived the Wii, but it was just far too expensive to make this like a purchasable product at $250, and now it is. And so now Motion Plus is what they wanted to do from the beginning, and now it's just a matter of everyone else playing catch up.
It's funny. We've heard this argument. I've heard this argument like twice before now, and it's funny just to hear it again. Like, it started with the DS, like, oh, all these proof of concepts with like WarioWare, and like we're gonna have to wait for people to catch on. Like Sega did, kind of like what was that? I would
feel the magic,
stuff like that. And then we heard it the first round with the Wii's, like, oh, Wii Sports, and these are ideas for people to use with Wii Sports. And 2 years later, here we are with
it's
Motion Plus.
Nintendo again saying, why can't anyone else do this?
My biggest concern, though, is, and I think the game's biggest hurdle is the fact that there's only one Wii Motion Plus bundled in with the system.
There really should be 2. Like, there really should be 2.
At least 2.
I've been telling people there's 2 because it doesn't make any sense that there's just one.
Any game coming for the Wii that has Wii Motion Plus should be bundled with initially from the outset.
They all do right now.
Tiger does, tennis doesn't. So tennis in Europe does, because apparently they like more tennis than we do.
Red Steel requires Motion Plus, so you will not be able to purchase that game at any point without Motion Plus bundled.
Those suckers need to be readily available, because even like when we were trying to play 4-player, we were scrambling around just trying to find enough. Wii Motion Plus is for us.
Even $20, I feel, is like what the remote is, the add-on by itself. Like Nintendo, I feel like they shouldn't even be charging for it. Like the point is getting this in everyone's hands, not like at $20 they're not making that much money off of it. So like it'd be nice if they just, I don't know, shipped everyone that had a Wii a thing of Motion Plus, because until it's in your hands, like there's still like that. You have to go over a certain hurdle to go out and buy it or buy a game with it. So
it's funny. It just highlights how much of a Frankenstein creation the Wii controller is now, with the motion, the remote, the little sheath like cover for it, and now the nunchuck, and now the Motion Plus, and it's just like a series of adjusting and hooking and unhooking.
The 3-minute video that you have to watch when you boot the game is hysterical, because it's like as you watch them attach everything, it's just terrifying what that controller becomes.
It's like a beta test for the next round of Nintendo hardware. It's like, okay, all these pieces are going to be in one thing next time. Just wait.
That'd be great. Wii HD. I would love to see that. That's what I'm personally waiting for. And if they can get it all together in one package, I would easily give my Wii and all the crap to my sister and start over again. Wii Sports Resort, you would all buy it easily?
Absolutely. I also love the Wii achievements they throw in.
Wii achievements.
Stamps.
Totally.
Badges.
You're
Stamps.
like, here you go, you did awesome. It makes it more gamer friendly instead of just being like, that's that game my grandma plays where she's bowling.
I do wish they also had online leaderboards. I think that would be really, really smart. But I know the one-to-one crap for online gaming would be really tough to do with latency and things like that. But at least you've got all your high scores on your Wii. It'd be great to share that with the world, like they do with Mario Kart and things like that. So,
Agreed.
all right. Well, Wii Sports 5 out of 5.
Yes.
Nice. Very good. So I guess that's going to do it for this week's show. Episode 1 is complete. You guys have a good time?
It goes
Ta-da.
so fast.
It does.
So much more to say.
It's amazing. But hopefully we're going to be back next Thursday with an all-new Nightcap, and it will be only available here on G4TV.com. So tomorrow's Friday, folks. We're almost there. We'll see you next week, and have a great weekend.